Hey Stub Clubbers, and welcome back to another movie review. Many of you might have noticed that our name has changed. We have gone from the Stub Club over to Stub Club Entertainment. Your ticket to movie reviews, original content, and more from the world of entertainment. Today we're going to be reviewing Mary Poppins Returns that came out December 19th. If some of you have not seen this already, I would say to maybe wait because there are going to be some spoilers in here. And there's also going to be a second video coming after this that's going to talk more about behind the scenes and fun facts and some things you may not have noticed while watching the movie. So Mary Poppins Returns is actually... It's been a long time coming. It has been 54 years since Mary Poppins, the original one, has been debuted. So Mary Poppins debuted in 1964, and now with it being 2018 at the time that I'm filming this, it has been 54 years later. And so there has been a lot of changes in the cast. People have gotten older, and so we have a lot of good casting involved in this movie. It is just jam-packed. We have Emily Blunt coming in as Mary Poppins. We have Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is very popular from his Broadway hit Hamilton. He plays Jack. We have Ben Whishaw, who is playing adult Michael. Emily Mortimer is playing adult Jane. We have Colin Firth coming that many of you have noticed from Mamma Mia, and he is playing Wilkins. We have Meryl Streep coming in, who is also from Mamma Mia, and she is playing Cousin Topsy, which is Mary Poppins' cousin. And then we also have some special guest appearances. We have Dick Van Dyke, Angela Lansbury. An additional guest appearance we have is Karen Dautrice. So Mary Poppins, when it came out in 1964, the movie didn't take place in 1964, it actually took place in 1910.
It's grand to be an Englishman in 1910.
Coming into this movie, even though it has been 54 years spacing between Mary Poppins and Mary Poppins Returns, it's only been about 20 to 25 years that it has been spaced in between. So we are going to be currently in the 1930s and Mary Poppins Returns, and so that is going to be during the Great Depression. From the original, we have many of our characters grown up now. So we have Michael and Jane, who were the children that went around with Mary Poppins when they were little, but now they're adults. So we have Michael, who has 3 children of his own. His 3 children's names are John, Georgie, and Annabelle. And then we also have some other people who come in that look familiar characters. Ellen is still going to be the housekeeper in the movie, just like the original, different actress though. And then we also have the 2 men that are on the neighbor's roof who is doing the cannon shots every hour that go along with Big Ben. So now is when I'm going to get into some spoilers, talk about the plot line. So if you've not seen it yet, I would say to click away from the video and then come back when you've seen it. Mary Poppins Returns, like I said, is taking place during the Great Depression. Michael unfortunately lost his wife and the mother of his children within the year that the Mary Poppins Return takes place. So right now he is going to be the only head of the household, but the children though are very used to taking care of themselves when it comes to going to the grocers to get their things. But it comes very apparent though that Michael is not really good with the bills. We have 2 lawyers coming from the bank saying that he is 3 months behind paying his loan that he took out for the house. And unfortunately, since he is 3 months behind, he has to pay the loan in full. And unfortunately, Michael does not even make that amount in a year to pay that off. So he needs to figure out what to do. And in the meantime, he doesn't want to tell his children about this because he doesn't want them to be afraid of losing their home. And this isn't just their home. This is 17 Cherry Tree Lane, the house that Michael and Jane grew up in. So of course, they don't want to lose their family home. So they're trying to figure out what to do. And they realize that they have some shares left from their father, who is since now passed away, to pay off the loan. And they only have a very short time period to pay off this loan as well. During that time frame, when the children go off to go to the market to get some groceries, that is when Michael went through the attic and you see all of these different things showing up from the first Mary Poppins. You see the building blocks from the nursery show up. You see the snow globe show up that was part of the scene where they were singing with the birds in the first film. And then you have the kite. And with the kite, we have, that is from Let's Go Fly a Kite in the first one, but there's also something special attached to it. Actually, the Vote for Women sash that you see Mrs. Banks wearing in the very first Mary Poppins. So there's all these little things that show up in this attic. Michael does not want some of these items anymore, like the kite. He just says it's garbage. So what he does is he throws it away, and when it gets thrown away outside, when the children are going to the market, the kite gets lost into the park, and Georgie catches the kite and wants to go fly it somewhere. And that is when Mary Poppins comes in. We have Georgie holding onto the kite, and he almost gets blown away with it, so Jack comes in, and Jack is going to be the old apprentice from Bert from the first one. Jack works with the city streetlights. He turns off all the lamps when the sun comes up in the morning. And so Jack goes and holds onto the kite, and right when the clouds part, we have Mary Poppins comes in. And that's when Jack says,
"That's how I live and breathe."
Jack knows immediately who Mary Poppins is because he remembers her when he was little working with Bert as an apprentice. I'm not sure if we do see Jack in the first one. It's just something that they, maybe it's just within the storyline of it. And we have Mary Poppins talking to all the children. And you'll notice that Mary Poppins acts very differently. And that is something that I want to talk about with thoughts and opinions on the movie, is that people are going to be saying, Emily Blunt is not copying Julie Andrews's Mary Poppins. And some people are going to be maybe on the fence about that. I will admit there were some times in the movie that I wasn't too sure about it because of how lovable and likable Mary Poppins, the character, is from the first one with Julie Andrews. She comes in Emily Blunt's character as being more strict, being more to the point and even rude sometimes. And the reason behind that is she did not want to follow in Julie Andrews' footsteps. She wanted to be her own Mary Poppins. So she didn't do her research watching the 1964 Mary Poppins again from when she was younger. She actually just dove right into P.L. Travers's books. P.L. Travers's Mary Poppins is very far from the Mary Poppins that Julie Andrews played. She was more strict and rude with the children, but always teaching them a lesson somehow. And so that was brought out immediately with her character, that some people might like it, some people may not. When we bring her back to the house with Mary Poppins, the children, which are now grown up, Michael and Jane, they are so shocked to see Mary Poppins. And there's actually something really sad mixed in with this. They know who Mary Poppins is when they were younger, but the one part that's super sad is that they don't know if what they went through when they were little, if it was even real. And that is something that gets questioned throughout the movie, is it even real what we imagined or went through when we were little? There are many nods to the very first Mary Poppins, like I talked about before. I'm not going to go into too many of them because I want to focus on that more of the second video that comes out about Mary Poppins Returns. But one thing I will bring up is when Mary Poppins comes into the house, she goes and looks at herself in the mirror and talks to herself in the mirror. And it's a nod to the first one by when Mary Poppins walks away, we have Mary Poppins' reflection still standing there in the mirror, and she looks over to her as well. And the reason why they did this was to show homage and to just kind of tap onto what the creators did in the first movie, kind of honoring them. The main premise of the movie for Mary Poppins coming back is to help the Banks children. And of course, the young ones, which are John, Georgie, and Annabelle, think that Mary Poppins is talking about them. And of course, they get kind of, well, what are you talking about? We can take care of ourselves. When Mary Poppins was actually really talking about the adult children, which is Michael and Jane. Just to get the imagination back in their life, and because of the darkness that kind of floats over their house from their house going to be getting taken from the bank, and just everything that's happened since the mother has passed away. Just like the first one, we have Mary Poppins taking the children on all sorts of adventures. I will talk about the animation scene, which was amazing. I still have some of my comments on that, so I'll get to that in a second. When it comes to the animation scene in the very first one, we have the children, Mary Poppins and Bert, jumping into one of Bert's chalk drawings. And we go into the chalk drawing where that is where they come to life, where we have live action with animation. In this one, we have Jack and Mary Poppins going with the children into a china bowl that the children broke by accident, that there's a big crack in it. And so Mary Poppins spins the bowl on the table, and we have flowers coming off of it, and then we have them jumping into the bowl where now they become characters actually on the surface of the china bowl. And that's how we have the animation and live action coming into the film. This is something that is very special because in the first one we had that 2D animation coming with live action. If many of you have noticed in the past good number of years, 2D animation really has gone far away from the entertainment industry. It's all now about CGI. But for this movie, they wanted to get back to the classics to show homage to the first one, so they actually went and got some alumni who were 2D animators, because when the truth comes to it, the Disney Animation Studio has been doing CGI, and there are not many who have the 2D animation talent anymore. They just don't have them in their studio. So we actually had people coming out of retirement or from past Disney movies to actually work on this film. And I will get more into that into our next video. What I would like to talk about with the animation is the style of animation. And it is something that I really picked up on. There are many of the characters that were animated that look like Disney animation. But there are a good number of them that I was kind of picking out here and there that to me it looks like it's not even from a Disney animated feature. It looks like it could be from another animation studio. And that is something that maybe went on as a style choice or because they had around 70 animators working on this, which by the way took 16 months they said to complete this part. It just seemed that there was too many inconsistencies where we had animated characters looking like it came from one of our beloved Disney movies of the past, and then we had way too many of them that looked like it was styled from a whole different animation studio outside of Disney. When we went into the China Bowl, the horse on the carriage immediately looked like several of our horses that we are used to. And then we have our penguins coming back, which I was so excited about. They don't look like the penguins from the first one, and it's like with their tuxedos and stuff from the first Mary Poppins, but the way they animated them, it does look like the Disney animation that we have seen over the years, and it looks like it came from the Disney Animation Studio. And with that, there might be many thoughts and opinions on it, so if you guys don't think what I thought, you can always comment below, but that's just something personally I thought while watching the movie. Next thing I would like to talk about are the songs. I personally do not think that any of these songs are going to be instant classics, just like how it was in Mary Poppins from 1964. We had incredible songwriters. We had the Sherman Brothers writing for Mary Poppins. We do have talented music writers for Mary Poppins Returns. We have two very talented composers for Mary Poppins Returns, which is Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman. However, I don't think it really came to par with what the original pumped out. There are many songs in it that I really did enjoy, but I just thought that maybe it was getting forced out a little bit, like there was some type of a competition compared to the first one. Meaning they knew they had to write a hit, they had to write something that was kind of nonsense, like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And I kind of saw that coming along in many of the songs, where sometimes I'm wondering, well, what is the song about? What are the actual words we're hearing? And it wasn't, of course, until the middle of the end of the song or I caught on, where it was actually a very good message. However, I just don't think that these are going to become instant classics like the first one, or these are going to be songs that we're going to be singing for years to come. It's nothing against the movie, it's just something that I personally I kind of had high hopes for, and I had more expectations out of it. Maybe that is the thing. Maybe I had too much of high expectations for the score of this movie. It's just, to me, it should have been more up here when it was kind of in the middle range. One of the songs I really enjoyed was Trip a Little Like Fantastic.
Now if your life is dead and foggy, that's no reason to complain. There's so much in store inside the door of 17 Cherry Tree Lane.
And I really believe that that is one of the songs that they really hit on the nail for showing, going back to maybe Chim Chim Cheree or the Step a Little Time from the first one. That one was amazing. I love when they went into the bathtub with Can You Imagine That?
Some people like to laugh at life and giggle through the day.
Things like that I was really hoping for. Meaning, with how technology and the movie industry has advanced since 1964, I was hoping that some things like Can You Imagine That were going to happen. We have stuff that the imagery is just so amazing on the screen and everything looks so realistic when all of it was just made up with CGI. And stuff like that I'm really happy it made it into the film. There is just something, I guess, missing from the film, and as I'm filming this and I did research on it, I'm still trying to figure out what is missing from this film that I would give it like 100% A+. Maybe it's just that we're just so in love with the first one with Mary Poppins that we're trying to bring this in as we need to evaluate it with it. Maybe what we all need to do is evaluate this as a separate film. This being Solo, because that is what they still are trying to do. We have Emily Blunt, who she wasn't trying to copy Mary Poppins with Julie Andrews. She wanted it to make her own, did research with the P.L. Travers books. So maybe that's what it is, that we have all these expectations to make it exactly the same when we have new talent coming in and we just need to focus them as separate. I'm going to go into really quickly about the special guest appearances in the movie. Dick Van Dyke is playing Mr. Dawes Sr., which is going to be the son of the character he played in the original Mary Poppins. We have him coming in for that. He does a...
So when life's a real pea super, you must choose to be a trooper, or your life comes with a lifetime guarantee. As you...
little dance in the office. Then he goes on the desk and does a little dance. And what's really nice is he does a nice talking with the children and Michael to kind of bring in the movie a little bit as a full circle and to just have that memorable moment when you have Dick Van Dyke coming into the Mary Poppins movie. We have Angela Lansbury come in, and Angela Lansbury, if you did not know, is from the Bedknobs and Broomsticks movie that came out a little bit after Mary Poppins that also had live action and animation in it, and she is also the voice of Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast. So we have her coming in as the balloon lady, and not only is she just having speaking parts, we actually have her singing in this film, which was wonderful to hear her come in again to sing in a Disney movie. And then finally we have Karen Dautrice. Karen Dautrice is actually Jane from the original 1964 Mary Poppins movie. And if you didn't know, there is a woman who comes onto the street asking for 19 Cherry Tree Lane. That is actually her. That she comes and asks for the address, and she says at the end, "Many thanks sincerely," and that is something that Michael and Jane wrote in a letter asking for a new nanny at the end of the Mary Poppins film. And not only do we have Dick Van Dyke's character helping us to give us that happy ending, but we also had help from a friend. Many of you may not consider this object as a friend, but I'm going to consider the kite as a friend. And the kite actually has a lot of answers to helping us out. If you remember from the first film, the kite is what helped lighten up and give happiness to Mr. Banks when they sang "Let's Go Fly a Kite." And so to conclude this movie, we have the kite also helping us again. It is going to be that helps us get the house back, and I'm not going to tell you how because that will spoil way too much of it, but the kite helps us. Just like the kite helped Mr. Banks in the first film. Yes, I know there's a lot that I left out in this movie review. And a lot of it's because I don't want to spoil all of it for you guys. I want you to go out and see it. And I was just trying to give you some snippets of it to encourage people to go out to see it or even to start a conversation about this film. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, our name has changed, so we went from the Stub Club to Stub Club Entertainment, just as a reminder. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for another video from Mary Poppins Returns where we talk about some facts on the movie.
As you sing a lot fantastic, won't you?